How you doing, guys? My name is Matt. I'm the other owner and guide at Deep Blue Kayak Fishing Charters. Like Eric said, we're going to do a bunch of these educational videos for YouTube, go over what we use, kind of everything about offshore kayak fishing. So today, going to talk about what rods and reels we use out there. We get a lot of emails from clients asking, what's the best rod and reel? What should I bring? Really couldn't be any simpler. So basically, we do two types of fishing out there. We do live bait fishing. That's with the blue runners, goggle eyes, sometimes pilchards if they're around, big pilchards, and then vertical jigging. That's basically the two methods of fishing that we do off there. So the first thing I'm going to go over is the first live bait setup that we use. You can use two. The first one, grab it here. So the spinning reel that we use is a 6,000 size spinning reel. It's perfect. You don't need to go any bigger than that. 6,000 is plenty. The line on there, I put 20-pound mono backing on it. You can get about 100 yards on there, and then another, 225, 250 of 40 or 50-pound braid. Doesn't really matter. 40 or 50 is perfect. Just as long as you're over 300 yards of line on your reel. You never want to be under that. You hook some sailfish out there, their first run, they can be screaming, get you down to your backing. But as long as you got 300 yards of line on there, you are perfect. Rods, 6 to 7 foot is what you want. Soft tip, so you can see that bait flickering back there. Basically, any rod that's rated between 15 to 30 pound line is perfect. That's basically our go-to live bait setup. Really important to have that soft tip. If you have a really thick, heavy rod, stiff tip, you're not going to see that bait back in there. And if it gets picked up with some weeds, you're not going to see that either. So it's very important to have that soft tip. So yeah, 7 foot, rod rated 15 to 30 pound is perfect. And all these rods that I talk about, reels, I'm going to put inside YouTube's description there. So don't worry about it if you miss anything. I'm going to just list exactly what I use if you want to go back and look at that. Next one, so next combo, if you're not a fan of the spinning reel, which is fine, you can use a conventional. Rod's the same thing, rod doesn't change, 7 foot, 15 to 30, fast action, that's the same. Reels you can use, you don't need a huge conventional size reel. Line capacity is not going to be an issue. I mean, this Penn Squall 40 is what I use. This has about over 500 yards of 20-pound mono on there, so you never have to worry about that. It's honestly preference, so it makes no difference if you use spinning or conventional. The only reason I like to use spinning, a couple of reasons. One, I think it's more fun, and two, if you see a passing sailfish or a passing mahi, busting blackfin tuna, you can go sling your bait in there. With a conventional, you can try to do that, but you might have a bird's nest depending how good you are. So that's live bait setup. And then our other that we use is our vertical jigging setup. And I can't stress this part enough. The rod is it's super important to have a rod that's made for vertical jigging. We have so many people that, just kind of substitute any rod. They have a 7 foot live bait rod and they try to vertical jig with that. I mean, you can, but it's just going to be awkward when you're doing it. That's not what it's designed for. So your vertical jigging rods are going to be shorter. Like I use a 6 foot length vertical jigging rod. This one from Star, I use all Star rods. I love them. They don't give them to me. I'm not sponsored or anything. I just love using them. This one's rated for 50 to 180, jig weight 120 to 270. So we mostly use 5-gram jigs out there, but I can up this thing to a 9-ounce jig or 7-ounce jig, and it works just fine. Your jigging rod's always going to be shorter, so I would say between 6 feet, 6'6" would be the longest that I'd use. 6'4" is perfect, kind of right in the middle, but anywhere between 6 and 6'6" is the rod that you want to use, and make sure that it is a vertical jigging rod. That is so important. Can't stress that enough, because you can hook a lot of fish on your regular rods, and it's not so much hooking the fish really, it's just the action of the jig. It's just awkward. Best way I can describe it. Just get a rod that's meant for vertical jigging. And then same thing with the reel, 6,000 size reel. You can even drop it down to 5,000 if you want. You can do the backing. I like to actually just load the braid all the way through. You know, it's just my preference, really. You just never know what you're going to hook out there, and we tend to jig out in deeper water. You know, sometimes we're jigging out in 400 feet of water, dropping that jig all the way down, and then, you know, then when you hook up right on the bottom, you know, most of your line's already out. So I like having it's just my preference. You don't have to do it, but I like just loading my jigging reel completely full of braid. You know, that way I still got that, you know, between 350 to 375 yards of braid on there, depending on what you use, 40 or 50 pound braid. So that's basically the rods and reels that we use. One other rod that I didn't bring with me that I'll talk about is just kind of a pitch bait rod. That can be your standard inshore rod, you know, with any 3,000 or 4,000 size reel, 20, 30 pound braid on that. Still want to make sure you got 200 yards of line on there. You know, springtime, we'll see jumbo blackfin tuna bust in, mahi swimming by. So you still want a rod that if you hook a big tuna, you can still land on it, but you want to be able to cast pretty far. Or, yeah, just a little bit lighter setup for anything passing by. So that's it. You know, kept it pretty simple today. Just the standard rods and reels that we use. All the rods and reels are going to be in the YouTube description, so just scroll down to that. And then if you want to look back on what we posted last week, Eric's video on the weather, a lot of great information on there, what weather apps we use, check that out. And then next week we'll get into something different. So comment below if you have any questions. I'll be glad to answer them. And then, yeah, we'll see you next week. Hey guys, it's Matt. Thanks for watching the video. Please like and subscribe to our channel. Check out some of our other client videos. And don't forget to book your charter with us. We'll see you next week.